Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Lee and I'm a high school English teacher. I love books, movies, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and my Harry Potter house is Ravenclaw. Today I'm going to be chatting to you about environmental responsibility. This forms part of active citizenship with a focus on the environment. Check out our website for more information on how to be an active citizen in South Africa. These days I feel as if I'm constantly bombarded with the state of our planet, our Earth. There is so much pressure to fix global warming with phrases like save the planet, make a difference, keep humanity alive, and inconvenient truth. These phrases can be so overwhelming, and I'm sure that you feel similarly, or like me, you live in a state of blissful ignorance thinking things like it can't be that bad, and it won't be that bad during my lifetime. The truth is that these fears aren't new. In fact, they're not even a 21st century phenomenon. In 1807, the poet William Wordsworth wrote a poem called The World is Too Much with Us. He was commenting on the negative effects of the first industrial revolution. His concern was that the world was losing sight of nature and we were too focused on consumerism and materialism, buying stuff and getting stuff. His poem starts, "The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending we lay waste our powers, little we see in nature that is ours." It is because of our focus on materialism and consumerism, the getting and spending that William Wordsworth refers to, that we are in this predicament. We have lost sight of what is important, and we are too focused on consumerism and materialism, the getting stuff and buying stuff. I used to feel an overwhelming sense of discontent and sometimes even fear when I thought about the state of the world. But luckily I had a really proactive friend who helped me to feel a little bit more at ease. She showed me that living a more sustainable life would help me manage those fears and the feeling of discontent. But what is sustainable living? Does it really make a difference? And can we influence the state of our environment with a little bit more thoughtful living? Well, today we are going to try and answer the question, what is sustainable living and what can we do to live a more eco-friendly life? People who live sustainably attempt to reduce the use of the Earth's natural resources. They attempt to change their methods of transport, energy consumption, and their diets. Living a sustainable life does not mean that you need to join some elite club. In fact, it goes back to years ago when people lived a much simpler life without a reliance on consumerism and materialism. There wasn't a need to have stuff, rather just necessities. Making a change on a global scale is what Elon Musk over at Tesla is doing. It means you could own an electric car or tile your roof with solar panels. Governments have also been making a massive change. In 2016, France banned the use of plastic cups, plastic plates, and cutlery, and in Norway they banned deforestation. In Portugal, they managed to live 4 straight days just on renewable energy. Making an eco-centered decision is scary because we think we need to make global decisions like governments do or create a film like Al Gore did, but the truth is, it starts with the simple things, like refusing a straw. People have come to expect plastic straws in every single drink. This is an example of extreme waste for minimal convenience. These short-lived tools are usually dropped into dustbins and forgotten about and immediately become massive plastic pollution. The Last Plastic Straw movement aims to activate citizens to put pressure on their local communities to reduce their use of straws. In South Africa, we are seeing major chain restaurants giving in to the pressure of the Refuse the Straw movement. They no longer stock straws. Recently, I went to a restaurant ready to refuse the straw, and when they brought my drink, it had a paper straw in it, which is a lot more eco-friendly than the plastic straws. Coming across a restaurant or a supermarket that does not stock straws is really exciting, but those sort of things wouldn't happen unless we, the citizens, were active and actually put pressure on them to make a difference. Once I refused my first straw, the desire to make a change became even more immense. I looked towards my household to see what I could do to make my life more eco-friendly. I started researching and chatting to my friends, and I realized that old saying that we learned at school, reduce, reuse, recycle, had in fact been remixed to include 5 R's, and they are refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and then recycle. This change is because recycling shouldn't be our first step. We should do other things before we recycle to ensure that we live a more eco-friendly life. So let's unpack these 5 R's. The first one is refuse. We've spoken about refusing the straw, but you can also refuse plastic bags. You can instead use those reusable cotton grocery bags, and you can use stainless steel, glass, or bamboo straws. We should also avoid single-use plastic like cling wrap and rather put your lunch just in a lunchbox. And sometimes we should just wash those dishes rather than using the paper plates, plastic cups, or plastic cutlery. Number 2, we could reduce our waste. You could start a compost heap, or you could compost indoors. I do something called bokashi composting. This can be traced back all the way to ancient Japan. I collect food waste in a container and cover it with something called bokashi bran. It looks a little bit like sawdust. I then close a container and put it to one side, and it starts a whole fermenting process. I keep this container in my kitchen and you can't smell it at all. Eventually it becomes a habit and you feel like you're actually making a difference, and you don't have as much rubbish to put outside for pick it up to collect. Number 3, reuse. Keep those reusable grocery bags in your bag, in your mom's handbag, or even in the bottom of your school bag. Collect glass jars from around the house and go to your local fruit and veg and see if they'll give you cereal in a glass jar instead of those niggly, non-recyclable plastic bags. Number 4, repurpose. This means take things from around the house that originally had one job and get them to do something else. So find cardboard boxes and use them for storage. Find glass cool drink bottles and use them as candle holders. Even take old baked bean tins and use them as plant holders to gift someone a plant, or use them as a stationery holder. Number 5, recycle. Now this one is really easy if you live in a community that already recycles. But if, like me, you don't, you have to create a system where you recycle certain things at home and find somewhere where you can drop them off, or find someone who will collect them for you. When my friend introduced me to the 5 R's, I was a little bit intimidated. How was I going to convince my entire family to change our way of living? But what I've come to realize is that it's a process. You can't do everything immediately. Start with something small, like refusing the straw. William Wordsworth realized all those years ago that our neglect of the earth was dire. His answer was to run towards nature and to embrace it. If we live a more sustainable life, we'll be doing just that, running away from unnecessary consumerism towards a life focused on the beauty of earth. So, refuse that straw on a journey to living more sustainably. And remember, inspire, equip, engage.